Hello everyone, welcome back to CA Final Financial Reporting paper discussion for November 2020 examination. So in our previous videos, we've done part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4, that is solution to the first 4 questions. And in this video, we'll be discussing solutions to question number 5. So come on, let's get started to discuss solution to question number 5. So let's go to question number 5. Before that, let me bring myself a little down. Question number 5. We have done with all this. 5. Diamond Limited. Yes, come on. Let's get started. So what does this question deal with? Diamond Limited has a headcount of around 1,000 employees. Okay, good for them. In the organization in the financial year 1920, as per the company's policies, employees are given 35 days of privilege leave, 15 days of sick leave, that is 15 days of sick leave and 10 days of casual leave. Okay, fine. That's the policy. Out of the total privilege leave and sick leave, 10 privilege leave and 5 sick leave can be carried forward to next period. Oh, that's the option. Very good. Good for them. And this basically question on Ind AS 19, that is employee benefits. On the basis of the past trends, it has been noted that 200 employees. So they're telling on the basis of the past, how many employees are going to take away, how many leaves. So regarding this information, considering this, we would have to create provision. We would have to create liability. Yeah, that's the context of our Ind AS 19. So let's get going. On the basis of the past trends, it has been noted that 200 employees will take 5 days. So this is important. Come on, 200 employees will take 5 days of privilege leave and 2 days of sick leave. Okay, and 800 employees will avail. I'll use a different color. 800 employees. This is new one. 800 employees will take 10 days of privilege leave, 5 days of sick leave. So it's simple, guys. 200 into 5 plus 200 into 2. This is the leave category for 200 employees, and for 800, 800 into 10 and 800 into 5. So these are the days for which the provision has to be created. We have been not provided with information regarding what is the cost per day, employee benefit expense, or anything of that sort. So the provision has to be made for 200 multiplied by 5 plus 200 multiplied by 2 plus 800 multiplied by 10 plus 800 multiplied by 5. These many days ke liye we would have to do provision. So that's the first question. Let's see if they've given any more information. Also, the company has been earning profits. This is not related to that. This is completely different. So this, I would call this as part 1. Okay, I will use a different color if you want me to. So the part 1 of the question ends here. It is not related to the lateral paragraph that I'm going to read now. Also, the company has been earning profit since 2010. We're in 1920. Yeah, 2010. It has been decided in 1920, that is this year, to distribute profits to its employees at 4% during the year. So they've defined it that they'll give 4% to the employees. Okay, fine. Let's go ahead. Then what is happening with regard to this? And however, due to the employee turnover, like few employees are leaving, few employees are continuing. That is employee turnover. It's not like employee will turn like this and then look at you and that's called no. Few employees quit and few employees come. So that is employee turnover in the organization. The expected payout, okay, because of that, they're decreasing the expected payout because few of them who leave will not be eligible to it. Yeah. So they're saying that it will be 3.5%. So we'd have to create provision to the extent of 3.5%. Did you guys understand? So they're telling that people will be eligible only if they stay in the organization. Few employees who leave might not be eligible. So you need to pay 3.5% of the profits to these employees. So profits is, okay, the profits earned during the year is 4,000 crores. Simple, 4,000 crores multiplied by 3.5%. To the extent of this, it has to be paid to employees. So you would have to end up creating provision. Would have to end up creating provision. This provision will be liability and it will be shown in our balance sheet. So this is the lateral part of our answer. Yes, let's go ahead. Diamond Private Limited has a post-employment benefit plan. Post-employment, once the employees quit, they would get some benefit. Meaning, regarding those employees, with respect to those employees, the benefit is already taken by us now. The benefit is taken by us now, but we will give them that return consideration after they leave the organization. So when should we recognize this? We might pay this later, but we would have to give provision right now. We would have to create it as a liability right now. You will pay it when they retire. You get that? This can be defined contribution plan, defined benefit plan. All this is covered in Ind AS 19 detailed discussion that we've done in multiple parts. The link to which is in the description. You guys can go back and then watch the entire Ind AS series videos where each Ind AS has been discussed in detail, including our Ind AS 19. Yeah. So they've told very clearly that this is going to be a defined contribution plan. Okay, thank you is what you can tell them. So this is going to be defined contribution plan. So the amount that is going to be contributed is defined. So against this defined contribution plan, the recognition is to be made, or the provision is to be made the moment the service is taken from the employees. The moment the employee gives us a service, we need to record this as an expense. If we pay, it is paid. If we have not paid, we have to create provision so that we will pay when he's eligible to take it. Like not all the employees will quit today. So few of them will quit after 4 years. That doesn't mean you will make provision after 4 years. If the benefit is already taken from the employee, you have to make the provision today, but make the payment on the day when he retires. So this is retirement benefit, post-employment benefit plan. Get that? Okay. And amount of 200 crores. Okay. 200 crores is the employment benefit that is to be recognized, which will fall due within 12 months. This is a very important information. When they told this, within 12 months, they're basically trying to tell us that you need not do discounting. If the amount is to be paid at a period beyond 12 months, then when we recognize this provision, we'd have to discount that cash outflow, what is to be paid after that 2 years or 3 years or 4 years to the present date. And the present value of such payable is the fair value of that liability which has to be recorded. But as it is been very clearly mentioned in the question, that it will fall due within 12 months, you need not do any discounting. So there is no discounting required, no discounting factor, no discounting cash flows required. We straight away record it at the price. What to say that 200 crores only. Yeah, let's go ahead. The company has paid for, important. Out of this 200, 40 crores has been paid. So how much is not paid? Not paid is 160. So out of 200 crores, 40 crores has been paid. 160 crores is yet to be paid. So we create provision to the extent of 160 crores. That's it. Then what would be the treatment of the short-term compensating absence? That is part one. Profit sharing plan. That is part two. Defined contribution plan. That is part three. Oh, the question has three parts. The question has three parts. The first part is with regard to our this part, this one. The second part is with regard to our profit sharing. The third part is with respect to our contribution, defined contribution plan. Very simple question, very simple question. Ind AS 19 employee benefits. Come on, let me show the answer to you as to how it is to be presented. Question 5A. Yeah, Ind AS 19 employee benefits. Okay. So what is the first part about? It's about the leave. What is the name that they have given? They have given short-term compensating absences. We'll also use the same name. Compensating absences. We are going to use the same name what they have given. We're not going to use a different name. Short-term compensating absences. What have they told? How many employees? How many days? Okay, 200 employees multiplied by 5. It is 200 multiplied by 5. How much is 200 multiplied by 5? That is 1000. Next thing that they've told is 200 multiplied by 2. 200 multiplied by 2. This is based on the past trend. It is given to us in the question. I'm not cooking this figure up. Then they have given 800 employees for 10 days and 800 employees for 5 days. That is a leave that they'll avail. You are expecting them to take so many leaves. So when they take so many leaves, you would have to pay them irrespective of the fact of whether they are working or not, isn't it? So you're creating provision for the same. 800 to 10 over, no, 800 to 5. 800 multiplied by 5. How much is 800 multiplied by 5? Half of the previous one, 4000. That's it. Provision liability is to be created to how many days? To the above sum. the extent of 13,400 days. That cost is not given. So to the extent of this much, we would have to create provision. That's it. Our answer is done with respect to the first part. Now let us go to the second part. Second part is with respect to profit sharing, isn't it? Yeah, profit sharing plan. Profit sharing plan. Yeah, the organization in 2019 all by itself has decided that they would share 4% of the profits with the employees. They're doing considerable profits, but considering the employee turnover, they've told that they'll give only 3%, sorry, 3.5%, isn't it? 3.5% of how much? 4,000 crores. Okay, how much is to be shared? 4,000 crores. Provision. Provision is to be created to the extent of 4% of 4% of how many crores? 4,000, sorry, 3.5% of 4,000 crores. 3.5 3.5% of 4,000 crores. So how much does that come to? That is, I'll do it here, 4,000 multiplied by 3.5%. That gives me 140 crores. That is 140. That's it. We're done with the second part of the question also. Shall we go to the third part of this 5A? Now the last part is defined contribution plan. Okay, come on, let me write defined contribution plan. Contribute. This is our third part of the answer. What does it say? It says that we need to create 200 crores के लिए provision. Yeah, defined contribution plan to be recognized. To be recognized when service is rendered by employee. Okay, now service has been rendered by employee. So now only we'll record. We'll not wait for the payment to record this. Okay, payment is not the criteria, accrual criteria. So how much is payable? 200 crores. 200. Okay, DCP, defined contribution plan, is how much? How many crores? 200 crores. 200. Next, paid. How much is paid? Paid is 40 crores. Paid. 40 crores is paid. Okay. Provision to be created. What is the extent to which you need to create provision? 200 crores minus, that is not credit, that is crores. Okay, 40 crores. To this extent, you would have to create provision. How much is that? 160 crores. To the extent of 160 crores, you would have to create provision. That's it. This is the answer to our part 3. So they've asked the bits and pieces of entire AS19 in days 19 that way in this question in different installments. Okay, no problem. We have done it. However, I'll just mark those parts which are important in bold. Profit sharing plan, 140 crores, defined contribution plan, 160 crores. So this is the solution to our question number 5A. Yes, I hope it has made sense to you. Now come on, let me quickly take you to question number 5B. 5B is entity A acquired subsidiary. Okay, there is part of a subsidiary. So this Ind AS 110 question. Let's see. And year ended 31st of March 2020. The summarized information of consolidated statement of profit or loss and balance sheet is provided together with supplementary information. They have given both. Okay, cool. Then what else? Balance sheet is given. Will not waste time reading balance sheet and P&L. Other information. All of the shares of entity B are acquired for 37,000 in cash. Okay, entire consideration is paid in cash. And what is the fair value of the assets taken? So inventory, trade receivables, cash, trade receivables, long-term debt, goodwill, consideration paid. You are required to prepare consolidated financial cash flow statement. So this is a question on Ind AS 7. Okay, Ind AS 7 along with Ind AS 1 No problem. Very easy, very simple one. Let us do this question on preparation of CFS. When I say CFS, I mean cash flow statement in this case. Consolidated cash flow statement. In the books of whom? Let me see. Okay. Entity A. Question 5B. Of entity A. Okay. What is the end answer that is being required? Consolidated cash flow statement. Okay, perfect. No problem whatsoever. So consolidated cash flow statement for the year ended 31st of March 2020. Year ended 31st March 2020. This is out expected out of us. We'll have the columns like particulars. We'll have amount columns. We can have two amount columns, one inner amount column and one outer amount column. Perfect. That would do. So if you people can recall the formula of cash flow statement is like a similar way of writing your cash book in the form of a statement, little differently. So what we do is we analyze the cash flows, that is inflows as well as outflows, into three major categories. One is operating, second one is investing, and third one is financing, and we write it this way. Operating transactions, I definitely know that you're in final, but I'm just giving you an overview. When you say operating activities, it is with respect to rendering of services or sale of goods. That is with respect to that. With respect to collection from debtors, payment to creditors, tax paid, and all other cash items. And when it comes to financing, it's like raising funds, shares issued, debentures issued, shares redeemed, debentures redeemed, dividend given, yeah, all those things. And then when it comes to investing, it is other assets, basically acquisition of an asset, sale of an asset. However, with respect to interest, dividend, it's like a lot of discussion. Like interest at sometimes can become operating activity if the organization is of the nature of activity being financing nature. It can actually become financing activity at times when it is paid. When it is received, it can become investing or it can become operating. So a lot of such circumstances. However, this is not so much in depth. This is a question in relation with Ind AS 1110 and Ind AS 7. So let us do this. Come on. I'll tell you how is it to approach this kind of a question on cash flow statement using double entry system so that you'll not miss out on anything. So that you are not doing the question in a very random, irregular manner. We'll do it in a specified order so that we'll not miss a single item in the question and do it in order and ensure that our cash flow statement tallies in the very first. So we'll have cash flow from operating activity. Then we'll have, I will do my statement showing changes of working capital separately. So I need little lesser place. Cash flow from investing activity. So these are our headings primarily. Excuse me. Okay, after investing activity, we have cash flow from usually the transactions will be more in operating and less in investing and financing. I've put little less. Later, if I need it, I insert columns. Okay. So this is what we have. And we usually start with net profit. You can either start with before tax or after tax. I usually consider doing it after tax wala profit and then adding back that provision for tax. That's my policy. I'll do that. Okay. Net profit after tax. Yeah, that's our starting point. So what they've given is they've given us statement of profit or loss. I'm going to start with my profit or loss. This revenue is fine. This cost of sales is fine. They are all cash items. And basically this cost of sales would get adjusted in other current assets and other current liabilities. We'll adjust it, the trade receivables, trade payables, inventory, we'll adjust this. So we'll right now ignore that. Gross profit, no problem. Depreciation is a non-cash expenditure. We would have to add it back. What is it that we should do? We should add this back. Okay. So net profit after tax, whatever I get, I'll have few add items, add or less items here. Yeah. So add or less. What is it that we'll add or less? We'll add or less non-cash or non-operating items. If there are certain items, which doesn't belong to operating activities, which are not operating activities, but they are in profit and loss account, we'll eliminate them. Or if there are certain items which are in P&L account, they are operating items, but they are non-cash items, then we'll remove them again. Either ways, you get this? Non-operating and non-cash items will be removed, because operating activity means rendering services, rendering or selling goods. That's it, isn't it? So purchase sales difference, that profit, if it is cash profit, that is your operating cash flow. You get that? But a lot of things might not be cash. That is the reason we're doing this. You get that? So add or less non-cash or non-operating items. The first thing is depreciation. Why? Depreciation is a non-cash expenditure. They've debited it. When they've debited it, basically our profit has come down. If I eliminate this depreciation, I'll get my cash profit. You get that? So that is the reason I'm adding this back. How much is it? 15,000. I'll add 15,000. Let me keep this in the inner column. What do I have next? I have operating expenses. Operating expenses, nothing mentioned. And if they mention something else in the adjustment, I would treat it as, what do you say? Cash expense, non-cash expense. Okay, if not, then it is no problem. Then interest cost. Interest cost, it is paid in cash unless it's specifically mentioned in the question. I don't have any adjustments here separately in the question saying that it is not paid. We have only information regarding few of the assets acquired in the process of this one. I'll tell you how to treat those. Yeah. And only the other thing that I should keep in mind is my balance sheet. In balance sheet, there is no interest unpaid, outstanding interest, prepaid interest, nothing of that sort. So what's happening with respect to interest? Interest is finance expense. What is it? It is basically finance in this case. So as this is finance expense and it is written in P&L account, it has decreased my profit. It is basically overshadowed my cash operating profit. So we'll add this back in operating activity and write this as a payment in financing activity. I'll show it to you. I'll write interest cost. Interest cost. I'm adding here 2000 and it is my financing activity. In the financing activities, I'll write same interest cost 2000 as minus, because it is interest cost paid, it is cash outflow. You get that? That's the reason I'm subtracting it. Why am I adding here? I'm adding this because it is not operating. So we're basically picking up from the P&L account, putting it in financing activity. So if we remove all non-cash items and non-operating items from P&L, what will remain in P&L is only cash items which relate to operating. So ultimately what we arrive there is not net profit, but cash profit. That cash profit is nothing but cash flow from our operating activity. Perfect. So we're done with this interest cost. Let's go ahead. So profit before taxation is 35. Taxation. This is basically provision, not actual payment. What is this? This, okay. I'm using my hand to write on the screen. That's the reason it's not very clear. Okay, it is provision. This is a tax provision created. Tax provision created is non-cash expense. When we actually pay cash, that is towards tax, I'll deduct it. Okay. This is non-cash expenditure, 7,500. So I'll add it back. Tax provision. How much is this? 27,500. So I would have to do a couple of more things. One thing is I would have to do my changes in working capital. Okay, here I'll get. Do we have anything else here? No, we don't have anything else here. Operating profit before tax. So that's what will arrive at here. So how much is my operating profit before tax? Okay, net profit after tax is 35,000. No, 27,500. 27,500. See, I took 27,500, that is net profit after tax. So I'm adding back 7,500. This is 7,500. That is the reason I'm adding back 7,500. If in case I take 35,000, that is profit before tax here, then I need not add this 7,500. You get that? So how much is our operating profit? Yeah. To this, what I would have to do is I would have to less my actual tax or tax paid. How do we determine tax paid? That is pretty simple. I'll tell you. You would have to take tax provision, opening tax provision, closing, prepare a small tax provision account, and you will get it. Okay, I'll teach that to you. Don't worry. Just chill right now. So tax paid should be deducted. And to this, I would have to make adjustment of changes in working capital. What exactly should I do? Changes in working capital. Changes in working capital. If I add these changes in working capital, then that will give me the operating profit. Yeah, and then financing is almost done. Then we would have to check if there is any change in the equity or change in the debt structure. If there is any changes, it is like either shares issued or debentures issued or shares bought back or shares redeemed or debentures redeemed. We'll account for that. And then investing activities, if there is any assets purchased or assets sold, we would have to consider depreciation there to identify whether any assets have been purchased or sold. So that's with respect to this. When I get additional information, I'll do this tax paid and changes in working capital. For now, itna hi. So I'm reading the question in order. I'm not apparently just going around with the question. So you guys can see, we read this paragraph. I finished my PL. Now I'm going into my balance sheet. You get that? Okay. Now, cash equivalents. Cash equivalents will not be considered in changes in working capital. Why? Though they are current assets. See, we know working capital is excess of current assets over current liabilities. That will do it for all the other assets other than cash and equivalent, because cash and cash equivalent is the point that we'll be preparing the entire statement for. So once we do this, financing activity and everything, no, we here will write net cash flow. To this net cash flow, we'll add opening cash equivalent. Opening cash and cash equivalent. If we add net cash flow to opening cash and cash equivalent, we should get closing cash and cash equivalent. Yes, if it does, then our answer is correct. Okay, net cash flow is to be found. How much is our opening cash and cash equivalent? It is opening is 2,500, closing is 4,000. Oh, 2,500 is the opening, closing is 4,000. So once I do this, 4,000 should match. Okay, I'll show it to you at the end. Okay, once I finish reading the question. Next, trade receivables. Yeah, here comes. This is not a question on Ind AS 7 exclusively. This is a question on Ind AS 110 put together. In the beginning of the year, you had not acquired this company. At the end of the year, you acquired, isn't it? What has it told here? Entity A subsidiary during the year ended. Okay, it's a subsidiary. We are preparing consolidated. Sorry. Okay, it's not acquisition, it's subsidiary. So what we would have to do is, a lot of things have been things which belong to our subsidiary. Those have to be eliminated from our. Okay, is it acquired towards then? It is consolidation based, isn't it? It's consolidated. It is actually included. It is actually included. So we would have to exclude it. We would have to exclude it. That is the point. Okay, now come on. Let us go to trade receivables. Now I'll show you a beautiful trick as to how to handle this statement showing changes in working capital. Yeah, I'll tell you. I'll share this step with you as to how do I do. Whenever it comes to statement showing changes in working capital, we would have to do current assets and current liabilities division as to how much has it changed. Now, a lot of times you do in a very different way. You remember a lot of formulas. What I tell is, for current assets, you do opening minus closing. And for current liabilities, you do closing minus opening. Why? The logic is pretty simple. Working capital is an asset. If current assets opening is higher, closing is less. So what is happening? What is happening? That's positive, isn't it? The working capital is increasing. Other way around, if current liabilities, we do closing minus opening. Closing means more, opening means less. That is decrease in our asset. That is decrease in our, that is increase again. So closing should be more, opening should be less. That's when working capital is increasing. Yeah, that's the logic. You can, in fact, if you want, you can start thinking, okay, trade receivables, opening minus closing, because it is current asset. I'm telling for all the assets, you do opening minus closing. So trade receivables is an asset. So if opening trade receivables is 100, closing is 80. Closing is 80. Then what is happening? Opening is 100, closing is 80. What am I telling? I am telling you to do 100 minus 80. 100 minus 80. So what does that mean? There was 100 rupees worth, what do you say, your trade receivables in the beginning. Right now it is 80. So it has come down. So what has happened? When it has come down, the cash has been received. So when the cash has been received, it is to be added in the cash flow statement. So that is the reason I tell you opening minus closing. See a different scenario. Trade receivables was 100 in the beginning, but it is 110 at the end. Trade receivables is 100 at the beginning, but 110 at the end. So trade receivables has increased by 10 rupees. When will it increase by 10 rupees? When you sell goods to them. When you sell goods to them, you would have to buy. When you buy, you might have paid 10 rupees cash outflow. So that's the logic, very, very big logic behind. So in simple terms, if you have to do what you would have to do is remember this: for current assets, do opening minus closing. Current assets, A is the starting. So opening minus closing. Current liabilities, CL, current liabilities, do closing minus opening. Simple. Okay. So current assets. Current assets. What do we do for current assets? Opening minus closing. Okay. What do we do for current liabilities? Current liabilities, you do closing minus opening. Okay. And in the closing that is being included, we would have to eliminate. So two ways: either subtract this whatever is acquired, no, either you subtract this from the closing or you add this to opening. I would suggest you to subtract this from the closing part. You get that? Yes. Let us go ahead. Inventory is 2000 rupees. Okay. Let us see. Let us start from here and then go ahead. We'll go in an order. Cash is done now. Trade receivables. We'll start with trade receivables. Trade receivables is a current asset. Trade receivables. What do I do with trade receivables? How much is the, we should do opening minus closing. You get that? Opening minus closing. Okay. Also remember, I'll put one note here. Subsidiary amounts from closing. From the closing amounts, whatever is there, deduct that much. Sir, can I alternatively add it to opening? Yeah, you can do that. Okay, let us do this. Opening. How much is opening? Trade receivables, 25,000. 25,000 minus of, how much is it closing? 27,000. 27,000 minus. How much is their trade receivables of subsidiary? It is 4,000. So you would have to do 25,000 minus of 27 minus 4. 27 minus 4 is 23. If I subtract 25,000, I'll get 2,000 positive. That is the item. You get that? Okay, come on. Next, we have trade receivables. Trade receivables is over. After trade receivables, okay, cash equivalent is over. Trade receivables. Next is inventory. Let us do inventories now. Inventories is again current asset. Inventories. Again, what should we do? Opening minus closing. How much is opening? Opening is the second column, closing is the first column. Remember that, don't get confused. 17,500. I will do 17,500 minus, how much is the opening? Opening is 15,000. 15,000. I'll not stop there. I would have to deduct the subsidiaries share, whatever is included in the consolidated statements from the closing, or add it to the opening. I am doing subtraction from the closing. Okay, come on. Let us go ahead, see how much is the subsidiaries inventory. 2,000. 2,000 will be subtracted now. 2,000. Okay. 15 minus 2 is 13. 17,500 minus 13,000. I get 4,500. Okay. Inventories is also over. Property, plant and equipment is not, it is not a current asset. So what do? We will just check how much is the opening property, plant and equipment. 40,000. How much is closing? 80,000. So what happened? Property, plant and equipment doubled. How did it double? It should be sheerly the purchases that we made. You get that? Or it should be the acquired from the subsidiary. And if there is any excess, if there is any shortage, it should be depreciation. If there is anything other than acquired from subsidiary, anything, any shortage other than the depreciation, then we would have to take care of it. Let us see if there is any garbage there. Just check. How much is the opening balance? 40,000. 40,000. Let us see how much has been purchased. How much has been acquired from the subsidiary? From subsidiary, you acquired 55,000. So I'll do 40 plus 55,000. So I'll get 95,000. How much is my property, plant and equipment? 40,000 acquired, 40,000 opening plus 55,000 acquired from the subsidiary. So that is basically 95,000. Let's see depreciation. How much is depreciation? We have depreciation to the extent of 15,000. I'll subtract 40 plus 55 is 95 minus 15,000. So that should become 80. How much is our property, plant and equipment closing? 80. So it's perfect. So there is no property, plant and equipment purchased, no property, plant and equipment sold. If there was a difference, then we would suppose to categorize it as purchase and sale and write it here in the investing activity. Write it here in the investing activity. But there is no change in property, plant and equipment. No change. So we'll not do anything. Get that? How did I check it? Opening balance plus subsidiaries property, plant and equipment minus depreciation. No, sorry, minus depreciation. Where is it? A depreciation. It should give us the closing value. That is matching. So we'll not do anything. Done. Okay. Opening goodwill is 0. Closing goodwill is 9,000. Where did we get? Is this the goodwill from the subsidiary? That should be the answer. If it is the goodwill from the subsidiary, very good. If it is other than goodwill from the subsidiary, it might become cash outflow because you purchased such goodwill. Let us see. See, it is the goodwill from the subsidiary. 9,000. Opening balance was 0. 9,000 acquired from subsidiary. Closing balance 9,000. Perfect. Let us go to the next one. So this is done. This is done. Total assets they've given. We don't really care. Trade payables. This is our current liability. We'd have to deal here. Where working capital changes. Working capital changes. I'll write here. Trade payables. What is it that we do? We do closing minus opening here. Remember, how much is closing? 34,000 is closing. 34,000. This is 2020. This is 2019. 34,000. 34,000 minus. How much is opening? 30,000. When I take 30,000, I'm not going to take 30,000. I'm going to eliminate the, sorry. Closing is 34,000, right? So from 34,000, I'm supposed to eliminate. What am I supposed to eliminate? I'm supposed to eliminate my subsidiaries share. Okay, how much is that? Check. Trade payables, 16,000 is supposed to be eliminated. Yeah, 34,000 minus 16,000. Closing becomes 18. Subtract 18 minus 30. You would get minus 12,000. So the working capital is decreasing by 12,000 here. You get that? That's important. Let's go ahead. We were here. Where were we? Trade payables done in the balance sheet. Now let's go to income tax payable. Income tax payable. This is very important now. Income tax payable. Opening liability is 5,500. Am I right? Yeah. Closing liability is 6,000. Provision created during the year is 7,500. So how much is paid? Drop a small account and you will get to know. I can tell you without ledger, but I would suggest you to prepare a small ledger. I'll show it. Concentrate. Provision. What is it? Income tax payable. In fact, I did it without this help. If you guys want to know for to say that property, plant and equipment also, you can prepare a ledger like this to check. Yeah. So this will remain my debit side and this will become my credit side. This is my ledger account. It's a liability, so I'll have buy balance brought down. How much is the opening balance of income tax payable? Opening balance is 5,500. I'll write here 5,500. Now let me write the closing balance. I'll write 2 balance carried on. How much is the closing balance? Closing balance is 6,000. 6,000 rupees. So opening balance is 5,500. Closing balance is 6,000. And during the year, they have created provision by provision. Yeah. How much is the provision created during the year? It is given here in the cash flow statement. How much is it? 7,500. I'll write here provision created 7,500. You get that? So now tell me how much is paid. When it is paid, it will be income tax to cash, isn't it? So I'll write to cash. So this is my balancing figure. How much is this? I'll just find totals here. 13,000 and 6,000. So basically this is equal to this 13,000 minus 6,000. 7,000 rupees is the amount of income tax paid during the year. Beginning of the year, you're supposed to pay 5,500. During the year, tax expense is 7,500. Okay, this is current year tax. Current year tax or tax expense. For the current year, you're supposed to pay 7,500. So totally you're supposed to pay 13,000. Out of that, 6,000 is still not paid. So how much is paid? 7,000. When 7,000 is paid, 7,000 is the cash expense. It will be cash outflow. It is a tax paid. How much? 7,000 rupees. Did you guys get this? 7,000 is the tax paid. So how much will be your operating profit after tax? Operating profit after tax is 52,000 minus 7,000. That comes to 45,000. You guys get that? Now changes in working capital, we would have to find it. Once I find it and then post it, it will become easy. Come on. Let us go ahead and then see what else do we have here. We're done with income tax payable. Next, I have long-term debt. Let us see if there is any change in long-term debt. 32,000, it was there in the beginning. 50,000, it is there at the end. So there is 18,000 increase. Is this cash inflow? Yes, it is cash inflow if there is no acquisition. If there is no acquisition of the long-term debt from our subsidiary. Let us see subsidiary, how much did we take? Subsidiary acquisition when we did, long-term debt acquired is 18,000. So we acquired 18,000 from there. 50,000 it became, 32,000 our own debt, 18,000 acquired from subsidiary, total 50. So perfect. There is no new debt taken. If it was there, new debt taken, I would have written in financing activity as cash inflow, debt taken. But there is nothing here. So we're done with this also. If you want, you can prepare a ledger account. Opening balance 32, debt taken from subsidiary 18. So it will become closing 50. There is no other item. Ledger is closed. Total outside liabilities, no nothing really there. And shareholders equity. Sir, shareholders equity opening was 17,500. Closing is 45,000. So 17,500 minus 45,000. 27,500 worth shares have been issued. Nah. It is profit. It is not share capital. It is shareholders equity. Shareholders equity will include share capital and reserves and surplus. Please check carefully what is the current year profit. Post-tax profit. How much is the profit? 27,500. So the verification that you need to do here is take this 17,500, add 27,500 current year profit, you will get 45,000. So it's perfect. There is no new shares issued. There is no dividend issued. There is no shares redeemed. There is no anything related to that. So basically 17,500 plus 27,500 gives us 45,000. So that's it. We're done with that. And they've told 37,000 is rupees in cash. Okay. Or you paid 37,000 in cash. So when you pay 37,000 in cash, all the shares of B entity were acquired by paying 37. When you pay them 37,000 in cash, it is investment that you're making in subsidiary. So 37,000 will become what? It will become cash outflow. Where? In investment activity. Check if there is any other item which is unticked here. There is one item, 1000. So when you acquire 1000 of their cash is also acquired, and you paid 37,000. So don't you think you paid 37,000 minus this 1000, the cash that you got from them? You technically paid 36. So that is our investment activity. I'll write here acquisition. Subsidiary 37,000 minus 1000. How much do you get? You get 36,000, guys. That's it. We're done with the entire question. Now come on, let us find out the cash flow from operating activity. From operating activity, it is, don't do sum, okay? It is 45 plus that changes in working capital we would have to do. But now the question is, how much is changes in working capital? Changes in working capital has to be found. Come on, let us find changes in working capital. Statement showing changes in working capital. Okay, how much is it? Total, we'll take total 2000 plus 4500 minus 12,000. You would get how much? Minus 5,500. That is the changes in equity. Yeah, this would go here. This would go here, 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 here. Here I'll write is equal to and select this 5,500. And this will be my working note number 1. Yes, and this I'll call my working note number 1. And this will be my working note number 2. Here I'll write working note number 2. Okay, that would help. Now come on, let us say how much is this? 39,500. 45 minus 5,500. And how much is our cash flow from investing activity? It is 36,000. How much is the cash flow from financing activity? It is minus 2,000. So we have the entire table ready. What is the net cash flow? Net cash flow is equal to sum of these cash flows from operating, investing, and financing. We did this. How much did we get? We got net cash flow 73,500. Wait, something's wrong. 39,500. Oh, this 36,000 is paid. It is outflow. It is outflow, right? We're paying it. 36, we get 1,500. Net cash flow is 1,500. Opening is 2,500. So 2,500 you had plus 1,500 is net cash flow, inflow, positive. You should get 4,000. So 2,500 plus 1,500 is 4,000. Perfect. Everything goes well, isn't it? Yeah, it tallies. It tallies. So we've done it correct. We've done it correct. Yes, boy. Come on, let us put one beautiful border to this and we're done with this question. So we're done with 5B. Now we have to do 5C. This much is operating and there we go. We'll have financing now. So investing, I'll put one box and what remains is financing. Yes, that's it. And this becomes a separately altogether. That's it. We are done with this question number 5B. That is Ind AS 110 with Ind AS 7. Let us now quickly do question number 1C. Yeah, I'll put borders to this later. Question 5C. This Excel sheet, what I'm discussing all the solutions with, I'll upload it to Drive and then share the link in the description once I finish the sixth question. Once part 6 video is released, link to this entire Excel sheet will be in the description to all the parts videos. You can check it there. Yes, I'm out of water also now. Okay, come on. Let us do question number 5C. Entity H holds 20% equity interest in entity S, an associate. Okay. So this is Ind AS 28, investment in associates. Okay, let's go ahead. That in turn has a 100% equity interest in entity T. There are three entities right now. You have entity H, entity S, entity T. So entity H has significant influence in entity S, which is its associates. Entity S holds 100% equity in entity T, which is its subsidiary, which has complete control. So there are three entities. Let me just go ahead and then note this. Entity H, then entity S, then comes entity T. Okay. Entity H has significant influence on entity S. Okay. Significant influence. Significant influence on entity S. And entity S has 100% control. Control on entity. OTROL. So we can call this investor. We can call this investee or associate also. And this, my friends, is holding. And this is subsidiary. So whenever I use the word investor, it means H. Whenever I use the word investee, it means yes. Whenever I say associate, it is yes. Whenever I say holding company, it is entity S. And whenever I say a subsidiary, it is entity T. Okay. With regard to this part, whenever there is significant influence, here we are using Ind AS. Okay, I'll write it up. Ind AS 28. That's what we'll be using within this part. And whenever it comes to this discussion, it will be Ind AS 110. Yeah, that's not what we're discussing right now, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, let's go ahead. Entity S recognized net assets relating to entity T of 10,000 in its consolidated statements. That is what we are supposed to do. Entity S has recognized entity T's assets worth 10,000. Entity S, meaning the holding company, has recorded entity T's 10,000 worth assets. You should do. But why did they do 10,000 completely? Because it is 100% subsidiary. So entire assets of T will become assets of S. So entire assets are recognized. Yes. Out of the 10,000, 20% significant means here they've told 20%. Yeah, 20% of the assets which belongs to entity T, which is completely held by entity S, belongs to entity H. You get that? It belongs to entity H. So it belongs to entity H to the extent of 2000. Perfect. Let us go ahead. What is happening? Entity S sells 20% of its interest. It has 100% interest. If it sells 20%, that does not make entity T a non-subsidiary. No, it will still be a subsidiary. But will it be 100% subsidiary? No, it will not be 100% subsidiary. So what is happening? Entity S. Yes. Sells 20% holding in entity T's equity. Okay, this is the transaction. What has happened? Let us see what is happening here. So how much is the cost? Cost is 10,000. They've told the cost of the net assets is 10,000. Now, what is the cost of this? The cost of this 10,000 to 20%, I can consider it as 2,000. You get that? Now, how much is the selling price, non-controlling interest for 3,000? Okay, selling price sold for 3,000. So there is excess of how much? 1,000. This 1,000, whatever is received in excess, will not be taken to P&L account. You get that? It will be taken as a part of our equity. I'll tell you what exactly will become our. It will become other comprehensive income. Yeah, yeah. Yes, it will become other comprehensive. It will become other comprehensive income, other equity. Okay, I'll tell you what exactly is a journal entry for this case. Would have to write cash account debit. How much did you receive? 3,000, and 3,000 is received. What are you giving up? You're basically giving up non-controlling interest. To the extent of how much? Non-controlling interest is given up to the extent of 2,000. Here comes to other equity. That is 1,000. This is that profit element. You get that? Now, when this happens, what happens? The cash of the S entity will increase by 3,000. Net assets will decrease by 2,000. So 1,000 will be increased in the other equity. Okay, this 1,000 is, this is all happening in the books of entities. So on this this 1,000 rupees, which is like profit, 20% will belong to whom? Will belong to entity H. Their net assets will increase. Now let us see what does Ind AS 28 say. Okay, as per Ind AS 28. Ind AS 28. This Ind AS 28 basically talks about equity method. Equity method of accounting. Equity method. Equity method. What does equity method say? Equity method says that investor should record the investment in investee at cost. Okay, investor to record investment at cost. Okay, any change in investees assets, net assets, due to equity transaction. Here, what is happening here? Due to equity transaction. Equity transaction, who's doing that equity transaction? Entity, yes. Okay, is post acquisition. Okay, better. Any change in invested transaction to be adjusted is to be adjusted. It is to be adjusted. Where do we make the adjustment? Do we take it to P&L account? The answer is no. It should be made by basically taking into, what do you say, our other equity or changes in other equity part. You get that? Okay. Not transfer to P statement of profit or loss. Not transfer to statement of profit and loss. To be taken to change in equity. You guys get that? Yeah. And what goes to statement of profit or loss? Profit or loss. If there is any profit made by the investee, such profit may, this share will go to investors profit or loss account. If there is any other comprehensive income that is made by the investee, such share will go to other comprehensive income of the investor. But here this is change in the equity, and it will go where? It will go to change in other equity always. You get that? Let us see. And recognizes the transaction as equity transaction in accordance with provision made under Ind AS 10 credit system. It is, yeah, they've told, see, they've taken it as 1,000 equity. The financial statements of H and S, this is before and after, both are given. See, now we'll see, concentrate on S, concentrate on S. So equity is 10,000. If they sell 20%, this equity should come down to 8,000. Have a look. After, yes, okay, consolidated part is being given. Assets are 10, 3,000 cash comes in. Oh, sorry, equity will remain the same. I mean to say what happens is cash comes 3,000 and then 1,000 profit comes into picture here. You get that? And this 1,000 when it comes into picture, what is happening? The cash is increasing here. Cash is increasing. So that is increasing our assets of yes. So when it increases the asset, see here non-controlling interest comes in, basically decreasing our equity. Don't worry. That's the point here. Yeah, this 1,000 when it comes in, it will increase our H share. H after is not given. Yeah, it will increase our H share to extent of how much? 20% of that 2,000. Sorry, 10% is how much? How much is it? So 200 crores. Equity attributable to owners becomes 11. Let's read the question over. Don't worry. Although NTTH did not participate in, see, NTTH is the investor. It did not participate in the transaction. The transaction is made by NTTS by selling its interest in NTT. Okay. The NTTH share of net assets in NTTS increased as a result of sale of S's 20% interest in T. Correct. Okay. Effectively, H share in S net assets is now 2,200. It was previously 2,000. That is 20% of 10,000. Now it is 2,200. 200 in addition to its previous share. How is this equity transaction that is recognized in the financial statements of NTTS reflected in the consolidated financial statements? As I told you here, that this is basically, I told you, this is to be transferred, to be taken to other equity. That is what is to be done with respect to the 200 crores. I'll make this blue, saying that this is the answer. Yeah. Yeah. What is this? This is the treatment of 200 crores. 200, isn't it? Yes, treatment of 200. That rupees 200, which is increase in the net assets of investee, that is entity S, because of an equity transaction made by entity S. Yeah, 2,000 to 2,200 when it goes up, the 200 whatever is going up, that is increase in the equity of entity T. And what do? We take it to other equity. We take it to other equity, where in the consolidated balance sheet. We take it into entity T's and entity H's other equity. Yeah, you get that? That's the answer with respect to 5C. Is that what they asked? Yeah, that's what they asked. So that's it with respect to part 5 of this solution discussion video. I'll come back very soon with part 6, wherein we'll discuss this stock or share appreciation rights. Very interesting question, if I'm not wrong. And yeah, 5V, 5C also, we'll discuss it. Yeah, I'll see it then. So it looks a very lengthy one. Maybe it's a very theory one. It'll have very theory based answer. There is not much computations required, if I'm not wrong, with respect to question number 6. So see you all in next part, solution to question number 6. So that will be the last part in this series of video. So till then, stay in the game. Tata, bye bye.